Welcome to Divine Grace, my exhibition. I'm Nigel Bart, and I painted these 20 pieces over the course of a year, beginning at around the Lenten time. It's the Christian period, the Easter period. So I started about a year ago. So the 20 works were painted throughout that, and they're all pretty consistently painted. So my style shines through it. So you'll see my style. I think the works are probably more of my better works that I've ever painted. They're more, I'd say, consistent with my style throughout. And I use a certain color palette, and I try to, or you'll get to see them up close right away. I try to arrange them as a Middle Eastern look of color, so that sands, desert sands, and some bright colors get to grab the Middle Eastern look. So, and the other idea I was trying to get at was the concept of what I've experienced in life, because I've dealt with incredible sort of loss and hardship, but I've come through as a survivor. So the ideas were captured through the stories of the sort of the New Testament stories of the Passion of Christ, and so my artworks sort of tell a story of my own experience of tragedy, but also overcoming tragedy. Of mental illness was one of those. And when you see up close, you'll recognize certain things that come out in my artwork that have a certain level of depth to them that could be transferable to living with something, not only mental illness, but something that could be very difficult to live with. So, and in my journey of loss, marital breakup when I was younger, and then going to like my mental illness played a lot of different chapters in my life, and it was addictions and other sorts of issues surrounding my mental health. I always look at my life as sort of two sides to a coin. So there's the pain side, like what I've endured, the loss and pain, but on the other side there's the hope, like the silver lining. So this body of art was created in just over a year. I was compelled to paint this series because the mysteries of the Holy Rosary are very dear to my heart. I was baptized into the Catholic Church as an infant, and she taught me many important values and lessons. As an experienced Catholic, I now tend to gravitate to the stories in the Bible over the rituals of the Church herself as predominantly important, particularly the New Testament. It must be noted that I'm not a literalist. My faith is well seasoned with loss and hardship. However, the core values within the Holy Rosary have laid a framework for my development and a compass to guide me. In my belief paradigm, I also keep room to learn and accept important values and concepts from every religion and spirituality. I like to think of myself as a very open-minded Catholic. As you navigate through this exhibition of works, please note that the paintings are to be categorized into 4 main mysteries with 5 intentional biblical stories and values or principles each. Those mysteries are the joyful, the luminous, the sorrowful, and the glorious. I painted them in a non-linear context. So this is called the Immaculate Conception. That's when Jesus was conceived, but I almost feel like Mary's conception was like a plan that was to save the world. You know, like she had this beautiful design laid out for her. So the next phase was when Mary was in this. It's more the humility is the the pearl of that mystery, and it starts with the joyful. So these are supposed to be happy mysteries, the first 5. And the joyful, the humility is the beginning. And the next is when Jesus or Mary visits Elizabeth, and she conceives John the Baptist when she meets Mary. So there's this joyful exchange when she's pregnant with Jesus and meets Elizabeth, and she becomes pregnant with John. Well, the pearl there is love of neighbor, principal pearl. And then it goes to here. This is the birth of Christ, and this one, this symbol is poverty. And this poverty is always a challenging one for everyone, because no one likes to be poor. Not to strive for wealth and comfort, but to strive to work hard to help people. And that's sort of the action element. And then this one is purification, or it's like the ritual of purification. It's the pearl is, or the principle is purity. It's the presentation when Jesus is brought to this old guy, Simeon, and Simeon says, "Oh, this is the one." It's as he was predicted in prophecy that once he saw Jesus, he would go and die. I like this one because I tie it to my youth, misspent youth. Like, this is Jesus in the temple talking to the elders. And it's interesting because he's a young guy, he's 12 years old. And I don't know if you've ever done that, like gone missing from your parents, and your parents are freaking out, and you were just out, whatever, partying a bit with some people, and you just had the best time of your life, and then you get the wake-up call that your parents are looking for you, your mom was looking for you, and you're just like, freaked out a bit. So this is why I like this, because he's a rebel. Jesus is a total rebel, and he goes missing for like 3 days. It's the Passover, and he's gone for 3 days. His parents leave for Bethlehem, and they come back, and what the heck, where's Jesus? They discover he's missing, so they go back and see him in the temple, and he's just wowing all these like old rabbis with his wisdom. So, and then that one's obedience. And I look at all these laws about like what I've learned in my life is just obedience to nature, not to be so gritty, rebellious against laws of nature, obedient to the wisdom, the overall wisdom of John the Baptist, who is Elizabeth's son, blesses Jesus, like baptizes him in the Jordan. And it's gratitude for faith. Then we have fidelity, and this is Mary, his mother, and Jesus. So in this picture, and these circles are all meant to be like God, like divinity in the picture. So this image, the wedding at Cana, is when Jesus is sitting there, and he hasn't proven anything yet, that he's like, no one really knows that except for what's happened here, if he's the one, like the Matrix. It's like the Matrix. And then suddenly Mary whispers to him, okay, all the wine runs dry, the party's out of liquor, and she whispers to him, Jesus, bring out the wine, bring it out. So the butler or whatever pours this big container of water, and then it's filled with wine, like the best wine ever. So that was his proving, his first miracle. This one goes on to the Sermon in the Mount, and this is like his life. So it's sort of like the journey of holiness of his work, his life's work. And then we go here to the Transfiguration, and this is courage, and this is when Jesus is like revealing himself on a mountain. And I tried to make it sort of psychedelic, like a Pink Floyd album with that. And then this one is sort of love of Eucharist, is the Last Supper. And I took liberty at this stage. I started to get more expressive in my styles, even though it wasn't painted linearly. Some of them take more expression. So this one is about the Last Supper. So I almost look at this one like he's in a jail cell, or he's lost everything, and he's sitting eating his bread, remembering Christ. So this Last Supper is not Jesus himself, but it's a figure who's lost everything, and he's over, like he's done. And this is where my artwork started. My whole body of work, I should say, started. This is the quote that it follows is, "Thy will be done." And it's like, whatever happens to me, happens to me. And we can't change much in life. And it's in the garden. It's not even his end. It's what he's seeing. So Jesus was like a visionary. He could see the end from it. And this is when he's praying in the garden. He sees his end. So it's scary business when he sees this and he's praying in the garden. He hasn't even been betrayed yet. And then this is called mortification of senses, and this is just holding on to that bar when you're getting whipped so hard. And he's going through the scourging, and now the pearl is mortification of senses, and it's just like, I don't know if you've gone through something so horrifically traumatic that you just had to tune out and just dull your senses completely, and you almost go into a different zone. So this one is humiliation, or the crowning of thorns, is like remembering the humiliation of Jesus, not his glory or his strength, but the humiliation. It's just people, it's human nature. It's not saying anything about culture, because I know there was some people get all riled because they think it's a cultural dynamic. It's not culture, it's people. Every single person has that element to turn like that. So that's what Jesus was exposing. Like, we're all victims of that. And then this one, the journey to Calvary is more of a linear sort of story of like, we all have a cross to carry, and we carry it. It's metaphorical as well. Now this is the end. It's more peaceful when Jesus has died already, and an eagle is coming up. The eagle is a symbol of love and peace and death in some cultures. So the eagle is flying, and forgiveness is there. The resurrection, where he's left they go to the tomb and it's empty. It's empty. And of course I go to a Pink Floyd analogy again with hope. Now he's actually inclined, he's risen in the sky. This is called the ascension of Jesus. So this symbolizes hope. So when Jesus left the earth, he was gone, but there was a sense of hope in people. And then suddenly something else came, and this was the Feast of Pentecost. When the fire came on their heads, the fire lit all the people's heads, and they were given the gift of the Paraclete, or the Holy Spirit, where they knew it was right or wrong. So finally, in Catholicism, they say to Jesus through Mary, is the mother, and Mary, in her assumption into heaven, when she died, she went to heaven. So, but the visualization is that she was like born into heaven, and it was like she, as a Christian, it's I look at this mystery as sort of like when I pray, I don't think it's a direct channel to Jesus. Like, I don't think that. I think it's more like I have to go through some steps, you know. Who's on top of the earth? It's Mary. Like, who's ruling this earth? You know, who would better to give justice than the mother of the person who's victimized? So I look at this as like Mary is the perfect advocate and perfect champion for all of us who've endured horrific stuff. So that's sort of where this whole story ends.